Welcome to Daily English Dialogues channel. Today we're diving into something really foundational, our daily routines. You know, from the moment we open our eyes to when we finally drift off to sleep, our consistent actions, they deeply shape how we feel, what we achieve, how we experience life. It's a powerful topic, and crucially, it's one of the best ways for you to practice and expand your simple English vocabulary about your daily life.
That's exactly right. What's truly insightful here, I think, is that routines are far more than just a checklist. They're really about intentionally designing a life that feels good and, moves you closer to your personal goals. We'll explore how different people approach their day, and as we do, we'll spotlight the common yet essential English words and phrases we use to, well, articulate all those actions and habits.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive is pretty clear then. We want to help you understand not just what an ideal day might look like, but also equip you with the fundamental English vocabulary and phrases, so you can talk about your own day clearly, confidently, and effectively. We'll draw from real life examples from various people talking about their own routines, showing you the language in action. So let's unpack this, starting with the first light of day. Many people, and yeah, many are sources, put a huge emphasis on morning routines. It often feels like successful individuals share some kind of common secret, and we're always curious about their morning rituals, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. The idea of a secret sauce morning routine is compelling, definitely. But the real insight, I believe, is that it's not about blindly copying someone else's schedule. The deep dive here is understanding what truly works for you, aligning with your natural energy and preferences. A common pitfall is trying to force a routine that simply doesn't fit your unique rhythm. That just leads to burnout rather than, well, benefit.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. So let's look at some examples from our sources, and yeah, let's pay attention to those everyday verbs. For the early birds among us, like Jessie, who shared that she wakes up at 6 a.m. every weekday, or Emily, who wakes up around 6:30 a.m., their mornings often involve quickly getting out of bed and then immediately doing something active. This could be exercise like yoga or running, maybe meditation, or even tackling important tasks early. One CEO we looked at starts her day with 6 a.m. yoga and an hour of focused work before she even checks emails. It's about setting an intentional tone right from the start.
Exactly. And notice those core verbs. Wake up, get out of bed. These are your essential building blocks, like you said. From there, you often hear actions like go to the bathroom, brush teeth, and wash face.
Mm.
Emily, for instance, mentioned that after she wakes up, she gets out of bed, then goes to the bathroom, brushes her teeth, and washes her face. These are simple, direct ways to describe those key initial actions. Very useful vocabulary.
Hmm. But what about those of us who aren't exactly natural morning people? Like Liam, who wakes up around 7:30 a.m., or Ryan, who sometimes hits snooze a few times before he finally gets out of bed. There's no single right way to start, is there?
Not at all. And that's a crucial insight here. An ideal morning for some might involve a slower, more gentle start. Liam, for example, he mentioned he likes to ease into the day. He does that by making coffee first thing and just sipping it quietly. Other common actions you hear are things like going to the kitchen, making breakfast or having breakfast, then getting dressed and putting on shoes or a coat. Jessie even checks her phone for messages and emails while her coffee is brewing. And Emily, she goes for a dog walk with Bella. The goal is really a start that feels nourishing and positive for you, whether that is 5 a.m. or 8 a.m.
Okay. So we've navigated the morning, sort of laid the foundation for our day. Next, we transition into what for many is the main event, work or school. And for a lot of people, that starts with the commute, a part of the day often dreaded, but which maybe can offer surprising opportunities.
Indeed. This is where we sometimes uncover what we might call hidden productivity. It's quite a powerful insight, actually. Those small pockets of time, like your commute, they aren't just dead time. They're opportunities. It's about being intentional with those minutes, turning them into chances for learning, personal growth, or simply valuable relaxation. Instead of just passively spending the time, you can actively reclaim it.
That's a fantastic reframe, yeah. Jessie, for example, she has a 30-minute bus ride to work, and she uses that time to listen to music or maybe a podcast. Others might listen to audiobooks or language learning apps. It's like a mental commute, right? Helping you shift gears from home life to work mode.
Precisely. And it doesn't always have to be about intense productivity either. That's important too. Sometimes the most valuable thing is just to tune out the noise. Give yourself permission to simply be. This mental downtime can be incredibly refreshing. The bigger picture here is about being present in all moments of your day, even those transitional ones, and making them serve your well-being.
Okay, so once we arrive, whether that's at an office or our home workspace, how do people make the most of their work or school time? Our sources show such a diverse range of work styles today.
Mindfulness seems to be key.
Yeah.
For those structured office jobs, it often means blocking out time for focused work, maybe scheduling regular breaks to avoid burnout, and even incorporating moments of creative recharge. One person we looked at shared that she always brings her sketchbook to work, and she spends her lunch break doodling. She said it's her way to stay refreshed. Common actions here, vocabulary-wise, include leaving the house or going to work, arriving at work, sitting at my desk, working on my computer for many hours, answering emails, writing reports, or having meetings. Many also have lunch around noon and make sure to take a break from their desk.
And for those working remotely or freelancing, that flexibility sounds amazing, but I imagine it comes with its own unique challenges in structuring the day.
It absolutely does, yes. While the flexibility is a huge plus, it demands a high degree of self-discipline, organization. Without those traditional boundaries, it's really easy to get sidetracked or let work bleed into personal time. So a crucial insight is to consciously set clear work hours, maybe create a dedicated workspace, and perhaps use techniques like the Pomodoro technique. That's where you break down work into focused intervals, typically 25 minutes, then take short breaks. These strategies help create rituals that signal the start and end of your workday. Paul, one of the freelancers we looked at, mentioned he sits at his desk, uses his computer, and writes articles or prepares lessons from home. Structure is still key, even with flexibility.
Right. So we've covered the start and the core of the day. Now let's look at that crucial transition from work into the evening. How do we set ourselves up for a truly restorative night's sleep?
Ah, the evening routine. It's incredibly important. How we end our day profoundly influences how we begin the next one. It really does. The insight here is about creating a clear sense of closure and transition, intentionally drawing a line between your productive work time and your personal time. Simple rituals like physically shutting down your laptop, clearing your workspace, or just changing into comfortable clothes. These are powerful signals to your brain that it's time to shift gears.
That's a really helpful way to think about it, actually. Our sources show a whole variety of ways people wind down. Jessie, for instance, she often relaxes on the sofa and might watch a little TV or read a book when she gets home around 5 p.m. Christine also mentioned she likes to relax on the sofa and read the news after work. And Paul enjoys going for a walk or listening to music in the evening to decompress. Different strokes for different folks, clearly.
Precisely. After going home, the evening often revolves around food and connection, doesn't it? Many people cook dinner or make dinner, and then, of course, eat dinner. Jessie, for example, loves to cook and try new recipes, though she did admit the less fun part is always washing the dishes. I think many can relate. Others might talk to family or talk to friends, or simply take a shower to unwind. The key is prioritizing activities that genuinely nourish you and help you relax after a long day.
And finally, sleep, the often overlooked, yet maybe the most critical piece of the ideal day puzzle. With our busy lives, getting consistent, good quality sleep, well, it can feel like a challenge sometimes.
It's true, it can be. But a consistent sleep routine can make a huge difference. It really can. It's about training your body for rest. Insights here include actions like dimming lights, consciously disconnecting from electronic devices, because the blue light they emit can suppress melatonin, the hormone that tells your body it's time to sleep. Instead, maybe reading a physical book or listening to calming music before bed can be very effective. And a consistent bedtime and wake-up time, even on weekends if you can manage it, helps regulate your body's natural sleep-wake cycle, makes it easier to fall asleep and wake up feeling refreshed. Oh, and many people also brush their teeth again right before going to bed. Jessie, for instance, she tries to go to bed around 10:30 p.m. and aims for 7 or 8 hours of sleep.
Right. Now, you mentioned chronotypes earlier. Can you remind us what those are again and why understanding them is so valuable for designing our day?
Ugh, chronotypes. Yes, they're fascinating. They basically refer to your natural genetically determined sleep-wake preferences, your internal body clock, essentially. Some people are true early birds, like Emily, who mentioned feeling like a morning person and tends to wake up early with energy. Others are night owls, like Liam or Paul, who both admitted their energy often peaks in the evenings and mornings can be, well, a real struggle for them. The crucial insight for you, the listener, is to understand your own chronotypes. It's really key. Designing a routine that aligns with your natural rhythms rather than constantly fighting against them leads to much more sustainable energy and well-being. And what's truly interesting is that chronotypes aren't always fixed. They can even shift over time, influenced by age or lifestyle changes.
Hmm. This has been such an insightful deep dive into routines. So, boiling it down, what does all this mean for you listening? We've heard about many different approaches, from Jesse's very structured weekday to Liam's slower start and Paul's evening energy focus.
I think the biggest takeaway really is that there is no single one-size-fits-all ideal routine. There just isn't. Designing your ideal day is more like an ongoing process of discovery and experimentation. It's about progress, not striving for some unattainable perfection. Our routines ultimately reflect our values and priorities. And if you're not happy with your current routine, the good news is you absolutely have the power to change it, one step at a time, without getting burned out. And importantly for our English focus today, having a strong grasp of the right vocabulary empowers you to articulate these choices and changes clearly.
Exactly. And when you talk about your routine in English, you'll naturally use the present simple tense for these habits and routines. Think, I wake up, or she goes. It's just how we describe actions that happen regularly. Pretty straightforward, but fundamental.
Absolutely. And you'll also find yourself using adverbs of frequency quite a lot to show how often you do things. For example, I always wake up at 6 a.m. if it's 100% of the time. Or, I usually make coffee first for most times. I often listen to podcasts during my commute for many times. I sometimes hit snooze, maybe about half the time. I occasionally take a long lunch break for now and then. I rarely eat out for dinner, meaning almost never. And of course, I never check emails before breakfast for 0% of the time. Jesse, for instance, said, I always feel more awake after washing my face. These little words add so much detail and clarity.
Yeah, they really do. And beyond single words and adverbs, there are loads of useful phrases that make your English sound more natural and fluent when you're describing routines. You might say you tend to do something, meaning it's your usual habit, or like, I can't really function before, or without my morning coffee, indicating a strong need.
Right. Or you might describe yourself as a bit of a morning person, or maybe a night owl to explain your chronotype. When talking about time, use phrases like first thing in the morning, around a specific time, like around 7:30 or later in the day. Oh. When you start work, you might say you dive into your work or you tackle your main tasks. Those are great action verbs. To describe leaving or returning, you can use head out or head back. Nice and casual. And to truly relax at the end of the day, you wind down or unwind, and eventually you call it a night when you decide to go to bed. These phrases add so much richness, don't they?
They really do. This deep dive into daily routines has truly highlighted that it's not just about getting things done, is it? It's about crafting a life that feels good and helps us be our best selves. And knowing these basic yet powerful English words and phrases really empowers us to articulate that both to ourselves and, to others.
Precisely. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you, our listener, with perhaps a thought-provoking question to consider. If you could redesign your ideal week, not just your ideal day, what would that look like? Think about how you'd balance periods of intense activity with essential rest, and how you'd intentionally make space for the things that truly matter most to you.
Ooh, that's a powerful challenge. A great one to ponder. We'd love to hear your thoughts on that. What does your ideal day or week look like? Please share your insights with us on social media, maybe using some of the vocabulary we discussed today. Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive. Until next time, keep those routines flexible, keep those minds curious, and those hearts open to the possibilities of a truly fulfilling life. And keep practicing your English with these essential daily words.